So my name's Margie. So sorry, we'll make a start. So we'll just take a breath and settle in. I'm sure many people have had a busy day. Lots of thoughts, lots of busyness. So we can take a minute just to set our motivation, set some good intention for being here. If you're a Buddhist, you can go for refuge. So again, I'll talk tonight about some meditation, and we'll do a couple of meditations together. So really, the point of meditation as well is really to generate positive mind states. So within our mind, we only have three options really, if you look at high level. We have positive mental states, negative mental states, and neutral mental states. So there's sort of no, some I guess are more positive than others, some are more negative than others, but from a three broad categories point of view, that's where they can sit in. So if you think of the mind like a garden, the garden has beautiful trees and shrubs and plants, but it also has weeds. And if you want your garden to be beautiful, everybody knows who gardens, it's a lot of work. And you actually have to make an effort to tend to that garden, to get rid of weeds continually and tend to the plants so they're happy and healthy. So in a way we can look in a very simplified way at our mind like that. We need to care for our mind. We all know we have to care for our bodies, and we have to look what we eat, get enough sleep, exercise. We all know that. If we don't do those things, or if we do negative things, drink too much alcohol, smoke, all those negative things, too much stress, we know our body's going to suffer. So our mind is exactly the same. We have to put effort into maintaining a healthy mental state, and that means really ensuring that we generate positive mind states, tend to the flowers and trees and shrubs, and trim them back, make them beautiful, and weed out all of those noxious negative thoughts. And that's the process that you engage in with meditation. And so when we know this, when we can think of our mind in those very simple terms, and that it's up to us, it's like our body, nobody can do our exercise for us, and the same with the mind. Nobody can really help our own mind. We're the ones who have to get that knowledge about healthy mind and body and put it into action. So it's good to then think about, to be motivated. Okay, that's why we learn about the mind, learn about meditation, so we can motivate ourselves, so we can think, I can do something, even really small things. They're going to make a difference to my mental health and my mental happiness. And that's, I think why we're all here tonight, to learn what we can do to nurture our mind and to create happy states of mind. So it's also good at, again, use that process of reflecting, of asking yourself. So, when am I happy? What's going on for me when I've got happy states of mind? And analyse yourself. What am I experiencing when I'm feeling relaxed and open and receptive? Start to learn about your own mind and how it works. So, from a Buddhist point of view, those positive states of mind all have the basis of love and compassion. And generosity, but really love and compassion are the real mainstays of our positive states of mind. And again, anecdotally, we know this ourselves. If we see something that just generates that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling in us, a little dog or a little baby or we have a nice exchange, if we reflect, we can get a really nice happy feeling when we're with our friends and we have a really nice exchange, or we feel just compassion rising up for people who are suffering. We know we make a connection. So those little experiences are showing us that is indeed true. So this is something, we have to analyse for ourselves. Again, to motivate yourself. If you want to meditate, you have to be motivated. So it's good to analyse and really understand, is that true? And we're all capable of experiencing love. We've got a mind, and we've got emotions and feelings, and we have connections. And so we're all capable, all of our minds are completely capable of experiencing love and compassion. It's depending how habituated we are to how often we feel it. The more we feel it, the more, like going to the gym, the more you pull those weights, the more your muscle grows. So we need to exercise that muscle, the muscle of love and compassion. And so the more spontaneous it will arise, the more we exercise it, the more we get our minds habituated to going to the positive mind states and not so much to the negative mind states. So again, we have to examine for ourselves. Does our mind tend to go negative, go positive? Or if I make effort in going positive, is it going to be more likely to look positive, have that more resilience, to be stronger, and things like that. And so what we'll do later tonight in our meditation is really trying to generate unconditional love. So that's our most highest state of love, because it's not conditioned by an external exchange. It's something that we give unconditionally. It's not, you've given me this, therefore I feel this, It's not that. It's not so transactional. And of course, even conditional love is still the experience of love. I'm not saying it's not. But the unconditional love, which we can create in our mind, is even a deeper experience of love that we can cultivate, and that can really push our minds to be more open and feel that love and to feel joy. So from a Buddhist perspective, all happiness comes from positive mental states. Positive mental states bring happiness, and negative mental states bring unhappiness. It's not any more complicated than that. A negative mental state cannot bring happiness. And a happy mental state in itself cannot cause unhappiness. So, and again, if you think about that, there's some logic, a very simple logic. It's very simple to understand, but it will hold the truth, and you can test that out for yourself. And it's good to test it out for yourself. Think about it. Next time you're happy, try and reflect on, what's going on in my mind? I'm connecting, I'm feeling gratitude, I'm feeling love, that's making me feel really good. So it's really worth testing and contemplating what for yourself, gain that experience. So when from looking at that high level, we want to generate love within our own minds. And we can do that in our day-to-day life by helping people, by connecting with people, by doing all of the things that we know bring happiness, helping family, supporting family, helping a neighbour, all of those things, tending to our children, all of those things. They're all actions, positive actions that we know bring us a level of happiness and connection. So from a meditational point of view, we can also meditate. We're really training our minds to really hone those mental states of love and compassion. within ourselves. And then it's easier, it flows a little bit more. We feel less judgmental, or we feel stronger and more resilient. And we're able to, live from our centre of truth, which becomes love and connection. And in a way, because then our love isn't so transactional, if I do that, this will happen, then I'll get payback. It's not as transactional. It comes from a natural place within our mind. So, to train our minds, even in love, the basis to do that from a Buddhist point of view is to develop within our minds this idea of equanimity. So we want a mind which is free from extreme views and free from really holding strong dislike and strong like. So we want a much more even state of mind, and that's in relation to other people. So when you think about it, again, it's very natural for us to categorise everything into I like, I don't like, and possibly a little bit neutral, but, it's generally we have this idea, I like this, I don't like that, I'm this, I'm not that, So basically like is like the basis of attachment. I want, I need, I like, and dislike draws us to anger. I don't like, I don't want, I need to go away from. So those, when we hold them very, very strongly, we get very locked in to this dichotomy. It's very, very strong within us. And then we can get not a lot of room then to be more open. So when we have a mind of equanimity, we may like or dislike, but it doesn't really matter so much. Okay, I don't like that food, big deal, it doesn't matter, I'll eat it anyway, or I won't eat it. But I'm not so disturbed. My mind's a lot more even, a lot less disturbed by the external, liking and disliking. I really like that, that's great, I'm open to that. But if I lose it, it's okay, things come, things go, because my mind is a little bit more open and less extreme on the I need this and I want that and I like that but I dislike that. So having an equanimous mind frees us up. It just allows us to roll with life a little bit more. And then from that basis we can then develop greater love and greater compassion, because we're starting from a much more open mentally. We're mentally more open and receptive. So the meditation we do to create this mind, this much more even, accepting mind, a mind that's not so locked into the pull and push of like and dislike, is this idea of friend, enemy, stranger. So it's a meditation on friend, enemy, stranger. And if you think of friend, I like this person. Think of enemy, I dislike this person. And you think of the stranger, I'm neutral, I don't care, I have no thought for that person. So again, if I think of who I don't like, a person, from my point of view, sitting here, I might say, I don't like such and such because they did such and such to me. And I feel really justified in that statement. And from my relative point of view, that may be true. And you might even say, oh, Marg, I can see why you don't like that person. I completely support you not liking that person. So there's some relative truth there. And I could say, oh, I really like this person. This person's been so kind to me and is so supportive and they're so wonderful. And look what they did for me. And you can think, well, that's fair enough. That person, you should like that person. That person's been so kind to you. So nice. So this is how our minds function. Yeah. And strangers, well, I don't care about strangers. Nothing to do with me. I have no thought for them at all. They're nothing to me. Okay, friend, enemy, stranger. So I'm sitting here and these are my categories, and you can say, yep, that's perfectly normal. And it is, that is perfectly normal. From my relative truth, that is perfectly normal. So we're not going to touch perfectly normal, that's perfectly everyday. We are going to question it a little bit, because my enemy might have once been my husband. So at one time he might have been the person I loved more in the world ever. My friend was once a stranger, and who's to know what stranger isn't going to become my best friend or my worst enemy? So even my relative truth is not a lot of trust, not a lot of stability in that relative truth. It's a truth, but doesn't stand up to a lot of logical scrutiny. Also, my enemy is somebody else's lover, friend, best person in the world. So it stands up for me this moment, but it doesn't stand up if I asked you or you about such and such. You might say, no, I love that person, they're fantastic. You're just too sensitive, or I think you're a bitch anyways. You know what I mean? So these are relative truths, and they work for us because they form a function for us. It's our like and dislike that exists in our mind, and it's driving a lot of those categories and a lot of the drama of our lives. So that's just how friend, enemy, stranger isn't as quite what we think it is. But from meditating on an equanimity, a mind state of equanimity, we take the logic a lot higher, and we apply a much more universal logic. You know, this is spirituality, so we apply a spiritual logic. And that logic is, like me, my enemy, and the person I like, what motivates them in the world, and this is universal. Every sentient being, even dogs or cats and insects, our enemies, our friends, famous people, people living on the streets, evil people, all of them, every single sentient being wants happiness. Think about that. Does that logic hold for you? Is there a person out there or a being out there, an animal out there that does not want what they believe, what they perceive as happiness? And they don't want to suffer. Doesn't mean they don't suffer, doesn't mean they have happiness, but what do people want? What drives you what drives us all? Whether we achieve it or not, that's what we're all trying to figure out. But the desire for happiness and the desire not to suffer is something that is universal. So it's that logical point that becomes the subject of the meditation. And test it out, that's logic, it will hold. You know, even somebody who you can't possibly, does such bad things that you can't possibly believe that they're doing them because they want to be happy, I bet you they are. You know. Or they're trying to avoid suffering. It's one of those motivations. So that's the logic of this meditation. So we can sort of leave it's hard to sometimes move past the, I don't like this person because, and I get that. So we take it up to a higher level. And what that does is it will soften the other level, because the meditation and the logic will impact our mind. And over time it will soften the like-dislike. It will just loosen it. You can still like and dislike, but maybe the level of anger or the level of attachment that accompanies it will loosen. Because you've understood people from a deeper and a more universal and a more compassionate, and from that you generate love and compassion. So, it's the antidote for some of the other stuff. It does work on your mind. And some of the logical arguments is that, nobody wants to suffer. Everybody has got, with mind anyway, any people, we've all got this ability to generate love and compassion. We just need to work on it. We just need to work with our own mind. So how lucky we are that can realise that and we can do something. That takes, to sit here and to listen and to contemplate and to apply that kind of logical sequencing takes wisdom. That takes a level of intelligence that is very wise. And so not everybody has that capability. Not everybody has wisdom, intelligence. So again, we can feel compassion for animals that may be caught in suffering, not because they want to. Is because for them there may not be any way out of it at this point. Even people who we judge as bad, and there's lots of people society might look down on. Even those people, again, they may not have the wisdom to really, and the clarity of mind to reflect and to apply some logic and to see a path of compassion or a path of love. So that becomes our focus of compassion, that very fact that they don't have that capability, and we want that for them because, which I should have said earlier, love is just wanting people to be happy. We express love is really just saying, I want you to be happy. That's all. I just want you to be happy. And compassion is just thinking, I don't want you to suffer. They are the two mind states of love and compassion. So they're not any more deeper or complex than that. We make love, love becomes more complex because of our attachment. Our liking will make love more complex. But love itself is just that I don't want to see you... I want you to be happy. Or compassion is I don't want you to suffer. So very, very simple mind states. And again, I can sit here and think of my enemy and think, I really want you to suffer. That's hatred. That is hatred. I want you to suffer. And I can think of my friend. I really want you to be happy. And it really upsets me when you're suffering. And again, that's the norm. That's how we function in society. That's why there's war and problems. That's why we can do bad things to each other, because we can easily say, well, I want you to be unhappy and I want you to be happy. And really that is the basis of spirituality, is just saying, okay, that works for me because I'm thinking of number one. This is my reality. As we know, you might love this person, you might dislike this person, and it goes on and on and on. It's 7 billion sorts of people having these relationships. No wonder the world's so unhappy. Or from a spirituality point of view, we just take it up that level. We get out of the egocentric point of view and we take it up to a more universal point of view. So again, like we broaden our scope. I'm not just sitting here talking about my dramas. I'm using my intelligence and my wisdom, and I'm focusing them out to all of humanity and all sentient beings, animals and insects. You know, and again, and then I can think, I don't want any of them to suffer. And I want all of them to be happy. And the irony of all of that is, who benefits the most? The person who does the meditation. My mind's happier. My mind's freer. My mind's got less drama. You know, I'm a nicer person, so I get more positive feedback. I'm not caught up in dramas of like, dislike, transactional interactions for my own ego's protection. So, you know, there's really no losers here, but the real winner is, you know, people do benefit from you having more love and compassion. Especially if they were your enemy, you're going to be less drama-filled. You'll probably just walk away and not bother. But you are the real winner because you are the one who have the happiest states of mind. You know, you're the one who went to the gym and did the heavy lifting. You know, you sat on the cushion and did the meditation. You know, you used your wisdom to think and to contemplate and then to meditate. So, you know, this is, it's the irony, and it's a great irony, you know, that we if you meditate on love and compassion for all sentient beings, the happiness that gains is like, you could sit there and meditate it for 2 or 3 people, okay, so that will bring you happiness, because that then you are generating positive mind states. You know, we pray or think about or really care for our family, and that we know that brings us a level of joy and a level of connection. You know, we can test that for ourselves. Well, so you just times it exponentially when you add more people to that focus. You know, so, you know, and that's the point of that spiritual love, that deeper love, that unconditional love, the bigger love. So, and again, you know, that's these are all practices we can apply, and we can see how that works for us. And, you know, we all still get dragged into our dramas of our daily life. And when those dramas are getting too much, we can actually disengage and sit and meditate. And that will help us, at least give us a bit of a break from the liking, disliking, or that dislike relationship we have. So I thought tonight we will do 2 meditations, and one will be on the traditional equanimity, friend, enemy, stranger meditation. So you can try it out for yourselves, and hopefully do it at home if that's something you know think is worthwhile. But I thought also tonight we would start off, and it's sort of my version, of doing a bit of a friend-enemy meditation on ourselves. Because I think sometimes it's hard to jump from, just the normal people I love and generate love from them, to, now we need to go to more people and strangers and things like that. It can seem like a big leap. And I think sometimes what can stop us from developing love and compassion is that we don't have enough of it for ourselves. And I think sometimes, I don't know if it's a Western thing, I don't know, but I think we're really, really good at beating ourselves up and being really hard on ourselves and feeling that we're not actually worthy ourselves for love. So I think if that's where we are, then we need to start there and then expand from that point. So I think, and sometimes we don't know, we don't walk around thinking, gee, I don't like myself. But sometimes it's, often we might feel, often we're a victim, we have that strong feeling of being a victim. And if we're feeling inside that we're a victim, then there has to be another part of us inside that's beating us up a little bit, giving us a hard time. It has to be a part of ourselves that's saying, you're not quite good enough. You need to try harder, or gee, that was really bad, or gee, you bombed there. And those voices are so insidious that they're driving us to do a lot of things and to worry a lot and second guess ourselves and take a lot of our mental energy. And really recognising that's the like and dislike operating internally. And we're inflicting that on ourselves. So I think we can do this meditation and work with that I like, dislike self. And we can. I think it's a good place to start, and then from there expand out. Because it's very. I think it's often a dialogue we have, and it's a dialogue that it's hard. Life becomes a lot harder than it needs to. So I can explain this meditation. And then we'll do it and I'll guide it. So this meditation, it is based on the friend, enemy, stranger. So there's no real difference. It's just that the focal point is different. So it is the same meditation, and I'll stop in between to give you a break, because sometimes just to keep meditating can be, you need a bit of a break. So the focal point is the same, but we're going to really focus on our own sense of victim and our own internal enemy, that the voice within us that can set us up. So actually we can probably go straight into it, and I'll guide it. So maybe just jiggle yourself around, take some breaths, get yourself comfortable. If you're in a chair, that's fine, just maybe as long as you have a nice straight back. Take a few breaths into the belly, out through the nose. As you breathe out, just release all of those thoughts. Just say, now I'm going to do this meditation, and give it all of my attention. And the intention of this meditation is to develop love and compassion. So it's great to set your intention before your meditation, because then everything that follows will be a positive mental state that you're creating. So imagine that, you're sitting there meditating, and you are It's your inner wisdom or your inner guru. So however you want to think of yourself there meditating, you know, your wisdom, intelligence, your best self. You might think of yourself as your inner guru, the wisdom and the love and compassion, or yourself. Now, in front of you is a part of you that really gives you a hard time. You know, it's a part of you that's quite critical and judgmental of yourself. And so just imagine that part of yourself. Just whatever comes up, doesn't matter. Just imagine it sitting there. And feel that this part of yourself that's critical and judgmental, that drives you too hard, that plays tricks on you, undermines you, makes you feel insecure, reactionary. Try and feel that part of you is doing it because it wants you to be happy. And it doesn't want to see you suffer. And recognize that this is just a part of you. It's not you. And it's just this part of you that you can now feel great love for. That part of you can accept really just wants to benefit you, but is maybe misguided in how to benefit you best. So now feel from your heart love in the form of white light, and it goes out of your heart, through your nostrils, and it goes over to where that self part of you is sitting, or feeling is, whatever comes up for you. And it either enters into the nostril or it bathes those emotions with that white light of love. And feel really connecting with love to that part of yourself. And really thank it. And connect, feel great love for it. Now you can give that part of you a hug, your blessing, and release that energy. Release all of that energy now. You don't need that part of you anymore. Feel all that energy disappears. And in your self, in your inner guru or your wisdom, feel really strongly that feel you have some strength over that part of you now, and you've released that energy. Now imagine there's a part of you that's the hurt you. Maybe a small child. May feel very small and alone. May feel fear. Now imagine that self sitting in front of your wisdom, your strong wisdom self. And again from your heart, let the white light love flow up from your heart and out of your nostrils and completely bathe that self in white light of love. And so let the light flow from your heart out into that child and feel real love and connection and real compassion. You don't want to see that child suffering. Feel that compassion. I don't want to see you suffering. And make that connection. So now feel that child is completely enveloped in your love and compassion. And walk over to that child and hug that child. And as you hug that child, it completely disappears. Energy is totally released. And your wisdom self is sitting there, strong in meditation. Okay. So just have a little breather. So on the basis now of feeling really strong love for yourself, so imagine now your whole self filling up with love. So from your heart, radiating light radiates out from your heart, white light, and it completely fills your body. So imagine your body is like a glass outline. and all inside is just full of light, completely clear, bright, warm. And feel it from your heart, this light, this love. Now imagine in front of you all of your loved ones, family and friends, relatives, neighbours, all the people you know and love. Now you want to send all of these people love. So again, imagine white light coming out of your right nostril, or both nostrils, and going into each and every person that you love. And it goes into their hearts. And again, it fills their whole body, so their body, again, all their problems and issues and things going wrong in their life completely disappears. And their bodies are clear and full of white light. And you're wishing them every happiness. Now imagine in front of you people that you call enemy, people you don't get along with, people you don't like, people you've labelled enemy for whatever reason. They could be whole nations of people, groups of people. Now imagine them all in front of you. Could be types of animals, snakes or whatever you call enemy. Spiders, these enemies. And imagine again, from your heart, white light of love goes out and bathes these so-called enemies. And filling them up with love. So again, they don't suffer. So that they have happiness. Imagining that all of your enemies have so much happiness. They're not troubled in any way. That they're full of pure love. Now you can imagine all the strangers. Must be about 7 billion of them. And all the animals and insects that we don't know, don't generally give a thought to. And spread out as far as you can think of, spreading out. So again, from our heart, let's generate that white light of love, wanting us, people who are strangers, beings who are strangers to us, to have happiness. and letting that go out and bathe all of those strangers. In that white light of happiness. Remember, our body is filled with this light as well. We are just deserving of love and happiness as friend, enemy, and stranger. And now try and feel a sense of all of those people, friend, enemy, stranger, are there with you. All of them feeling love, not suffering. And feel a true sense of joy about that. Okay, so you can, when you're ready, you can dissolve your meditation, bring all your light back into you, so bring all those light energy rays back into you and feel all that love energy rays coming back into your mind, back into your heart, and all of those sentient beings dissolving into emptiness. So bring all that love back into you. Dissolve those people into emptiness. Okay. That's all I had for tonight. There's time for questions, if anybody's got any questions or wants to ask any questions or talk about how it was for them. Happy for... Engaged Buddhism. Sorry?
Maybe that's the wrong term. It's like when you... there's a movement beginning in Asia and they used it partly in protest.
Oh, okay. So the question is, can I comment on engaged Buddhism, which was a protest movement in Asia? I'm sorry, no, I can't comment because I'm not across that at all. So... You mean Vietnam War? Is that the Vietnam War? And that's the self-emulation? Is that what you think? Are you going there or what? I don't know.
I guess it was a sort of activism. Because they had to suffer so much and they had to still forgive.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. The idea of love and compassion, I mean, it's complex, I guess, in a complex world as well. It doesn't mean to be a doormat. Compassion, sometimes I think, it's interpreted that you can't do anything because of love and compassion. But on the other side of that, And I don't know much about that protest movement, but I guess all I can say to that is, yeah, I mean, if I think of His Holiness who takes that non-violent stance, so I think it's, that the point of Buddhism is it's still, you can take a stand, but it's the idea of violence. I think violence, at the heart of it, violence is a negative action, but I guess there's, and it depends on how it's looked at, I guess. So so typically I would say, like, His Holiness has taken a very non-violent stance, and Gandhi took that to peace because violence begets violence from a causal relationship point of view. So I mean, that's from a Buddhist point of view. I'm not sure of what the protest movement is, but self-emulations, sometimes they were done by people who'd got past the relationship with body and pain, that their meditative states were quite strong. So it's all, from that point of view, they gave up their body for the cause. And if that's where they were at, their concentration and meditation was to that point, and their belief in reincarnation and moving on out of this body was to that point, and they may choose that path. But from an everyday point of view, like Gandhi, like His Holiness, the idea of any violence begets violence. And that's why the basic tenet of Buddhism is non-violence. That's what Buddhism stands for, is this idea of non-violence. But yeah, then there's degrees of, that person probably took on that suffering. So if you take on the suffering willingly and you're willing to accept a level of suffering, and the like-dislike isn't driving your mind, but to benefit others, you can take on suffering. So again, it may look violent or it may look in a certain way, but it depends on your mind state. And that's where, things get a bit more profound. And you can't judge anybody's mind state, so people make judgments and say, well, it's definitely this. Who knows? You don't really know. But, I could take on suffering if I thought, and that may even, if I thought that was going to benefit someone else or something else. And mothers do that all the time. People do take on suffering for others all of the time, And I think that's where that level... But again, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but that's how I'll answer that. Yeah. Yep.
As I understand it, we seek equanimity, avoiding extremes, and trying to reduce our attachment and our aversion.
Yes.
Is it okay to be attached to meditation?
Good question. Okay, so the question was, I'm just doing this for the camera, repeating it so people can hear. The question was, we practice equanimity to lessen attachment and hatred. And did you say an aversion? An aversion, yeah, hatred, aversion. So, and is attachment then bad?
Is
attachment to meditation, bad. Yes, sorry.
I think I'm getting attached to meditation.
Yes. Yeah. Well, exactly. So good spot that you can see that, because that is true. We, just as we can get attached to all sorts of things that we don't think are bad for us, but then can become bad, because like a glass of wine is not bad, but 10 glasses of wine a night is bad. So nothing is solely bad, nothing really is solely good. The problem is our attachment to it. So alcohol isn't the problem, our attachment to alcohol is the problem. So the problem with being attached to, say, meditation, what you're doing then, if the attachment becomes higher, then you're just increasing attachment. So if you have high attachment, the problem is whatever you turn your mind to, the mind of attachment's going with you. It's a lens through which you're viewing things. So it's good it's meditation and not alcohol, let's put it that way. But it's good to recognise. That's really good that you have recognised it, because then you can do something about it. You can say, I mean, the problem with being too attached with, again, that operates on many levels. One level is you start to feel good with meditation, and then you become attached to that feeling of good, and then it can block other feelings. Also, you're staying locked into that dichotomy of that feeling, rather than really meditation is about releasing attachment and experiencing bliss or good feeling without that attachment, the clinging to it. So good you recognised it, and then you start to want to lessen that, step back from it. And how you lessen it is think of, I mean, the way you lessen attachment is to think of, okay, so if I have attachment, I like a glass of wine, but I know I'm quite attached to wine, so one wine easily becomes 3 or 4. If my mind already likes wine, that's going to be harder. That's the attachment. So how you lessen that is to start to tell yourself all of the reasons why that is not good. So you have to convince your mind out of attachment. You've got to recognise that and convince it. So that's that work. Understand, recognising that there is attachment there is really good. Because you have to find that antidote, the way out of it. It's not necessarily going to happen for itself. It's like if you have a weed in the garden, if it's just left, the weed will take over. The attachment will increase. And again, so, generating love will lessen attachment because you'll increase more love. And again, love's a much freer state than attachment, because love is not conditioned. Attachment's very conditioned. But you can be attached to anything and everything. All right. If there's no more questions, we'll leave it here. And so I think next week we're back on. And if people would like to stay tonight for a cup of tea and have a chat in the gompa that's, in the dining room, that people can. Apologise, there's no cake this week, but there will be cake next week. But we're starting to let people go back into the dining room and have a chat. Sorry, we put that on hold because of COVID, but people are welcome to do that. So, we'll just dedicate, before I go, just imagine all those sentient beings are surrounding you, and white light comes from above. The Buddhas are very happy with you, and they rain down white light on to you and all sentient beings into the crowns of your heads, and you're completely filled. And this again reignites the love you've generated in your heart. It increases it, and it flows unconditionally out of you, and it's inexhaustible. And that is true. Okay. Thank you, everybody.